I think if we're being completely honest with ourselves, we've probably sensed this building for a while, maybe even going back to last year. That Jalen Ramsey doesn't like Doug Marrone. I don't think he respects Doug Marrone. That Jalen Ramsey isn't happy in Jacksonville. And that at some point in time, he was potentially, especially if things started off rocky kind of early, was going to request a trade out of Jacksonville. You're seeing this weird kind of recent movement to players exercising leverage, trying to exercise power and control, and trying to say if they're not happy, they want to go. Very fascinating. But you look at Jalen Ramsey, the former 5th overall pick. You talk about a guy out of Florida State, 4th year in the league, still has another year left on his rookie deal. Premier cover corner in the National Football League. Has a bit of an alpha dog mentality, which can be really, really good, but at times he can fly off the handle a little bit, and that can be kind of concerning and bad, especially in a locker room environment. And it remains to be seen whether the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to comply with Jalen Ramsey's request, and if they're ultimately going to be able to find a trade partner to make this thing happen, especially considering the reported asking price by the Jaguars for Jalen Ramsey is 2 first-round picks, which begs the question. Would you trade 2 first-round picks for Jalen Ramsey? And to me, the answer is very simple. If you are a playoff team, if you are a potential contending team, a potential Super Bowl champion team, Kansas City Chiefs, you trade 2 first-round picks for an all-pro level cover corner entering the peak of his career, and you don't blink twice about it. This is not like the Steelers after losing Big Ben trading a first-round pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick. You look at that and you say in the short term, that makes no damn sense. And potentially in the long term, it could hurt you even more. Because if your team is really bad, that pick could have turned into a quarterback that could have been Big Ben's replacement the next 15 years. You were gambling on a 3rd-round pick and Mason Rudolph being the answer. You better hope to God that works. In this particular case, if you are a contending team and you're looking at drafting in the 20s, those 2 first-round picks can make a big, big difference. Look at my Bears. They anticipated as a front office that if they made the trade for Khalil Mack and they gave up 2 first-round picks to get him, that they would have been making the playoffs both seasons and be picking in the 20s any damn ways. And if you ask the Bears organization, the coaches, the players, the fans, media, was Khalil Mack worth the price for the Chicago Bears? Oh, duh, yes. While Jalen Ramsey plays a different position, he does play a premier position, and premier players at a premier position just don't come around every day. Especially those guys that are only in their 4th year in the league, and you could argue still have their best football ahead of them for several years to come. If you are a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, and you have a need for a guy like him, which you clearly do, you need an impact player, you need a difference maker in that defense, in particular in that secondary, then hell yeah, you go out and you trade for that corner and you give up the 2 first-round picks. Now, the difference in situations here a little bit could potentially be that when the Bears traded for Khalil Mack, they had a lot of the other defensive infrastructure around him. Like Khalil Mack was the piece that put it over the top. He's what helped erupt their defensive volcano, if you will. They already had studs at every level of that defense. You look at Akeem Hicks. You look at the drafting of Roquan Smith at pick 8 when he finally came into the fold. You have a feeling he was going to be a stud. You have Eddie Jackson. You have Kyle Fuller. That defense of the Bears was already pretty good and had a lot of talent. It's the superstar that made the difference. Well, when you look at the Chiefs, they don't have that same level of infrastructure. They don't have that same level of talent. So looking at it, you say, how much of an impact can he really make? But if you're the Chiefs, you kind of don't have a choice. You got to do something. And they're not the only team, sure. I certainly understand that. It's just when you look at it, you say, that's the logical fit. Or hell, if you're the New England Patriots, God, can't even believe I'm going to say this, go knocking on the door of the Jags. Shit, what are draft picks at this point? You don't fucking need them. You just got Antonio Brown fall into your damn lap. You helped orchestrate it. Why not trade away 2 late first-round picks over the next 2 years to bring in Jalen Ramsey and be an impact player on the other side of Stephon Gilmore in that Patriots secondary? You don't think there's a chance that could happen? I mean, I'm just saying. If you're the Eagles, you got a walking mass unit of a team anyways. Watching the game Sunday night, so many guys were dropping. Your biggest weakness by far is your secondary. Those first-round picks don't matter worth a shit. Go after Jalen Ramsey. I look at this as potentially a good situation for the Jags in the sense of they've got a valuable commodity who still has another year extra left on his rookie contract, so teams get a little extra control at a reasonable cap figure, even for an all-pro player that was a top 5 pick. But you have several teams that are potential playoff teams, potential contending teams, that might be one piece away. And Jalen Ramsey being that one piece that could put them over the hump. So the worst the Jags, if they are so inclined to trade Jalen Ramsey ultimately, the worst they should be able to get in a package is a first and a second round pick. Maybe a first in 2020, a second in 2021. But if the Miami Dolphins just got 2 firsts and a second, what was it, for Laramie Tunsil? I mean, they got 2 firsts for Laramie Tunsil, and Jalen Ramsey is a better player at what he does than what Laramie Tunsil is at what he does. Then the Jags are absolutely right. Like, 2 first-round picks shouldn't even be the starting point. You should be looking at 2 first-round picks and maybe a third-round pick, or maybe a second and a third-round pick, and spreading that over a couple of drafts. You don't have Foles for several weeks. You're about to fire your head coach, Doug Marrone, unless something miraculous happens and you go on this big winning streak behind Gardner Minshew. He's going to lose that locker room. Get what you can for the talent that you have. The market is there for Jalen Ramsey. If you are a team looking at it, you also have to understand that, hey, if we're going to give up this price, we'd be really foolish if we don't give him a long-term deal, which could create issues next offseason because he clearly wants to get paid. I think that's a large reason why he wants to get the fuck out of Jacksonville. It doesn't have to be with the team not winning or the team sucking or hating Doug Marrone. I mean, the dude rode a freaking training camp in the back of an armored truck. He wants to get paid. So you know realistically that when you look at his rookie contract, you're probably only seeing the end of this year on it, and you're going to have to sign him to a big-time money deal for a premier corner entering the peak of his career. But at this particular moment, if you're one of those teams that I called out, you can maybe even throw the Seahawks into the damn mix. Why the hell not? If you're one of those teams, he's a difference maker. He is an elite-level player, and those types of guys don't come on the market every day. And if you are talking about the difference between being just a wild card team and potentially making the Super Bowl and having the chance to win it is 2 first-round picks in future drafts. If you do not trade those 2 first-round picks every single time, you are a damn fool. So it'll be interesting to see where he ultimately ends up. I think the leaders in the clubhouse, Chiefs, Eagles, always the Patriots, because you know Evil Bill is going to be lurking around. Maybe the Seahawks sneak into it. Especially considering they didn't have to give up crap to get Jadeveon Clowney, so why not? You know, and that seems like culture-wise, personality-wise, Ramsey would be a great fit back there in Seattle. He's got plenty of destinations. The Jaguars potentially have plenty of options. And if he doesn't, I'll be really surprised and I'll really question some of these teams in terms of their priorities. It's a shame that guys like Ramsey that are so good, that are so talented, get in these situations a few years later, whether due to the organization's doing or their own doing or a combination of it, that these guys start requesting trades and they get the hell out of there. But you know what? It's a selfish world. Fuck team, fuck fan base, your city, your organization, everybody. You always got to do what is best for you. Because you damn sure best believe that if you don't, somebody else that you have faith in is going to do what you didn't. Jalen Ramsey is a valuable commodity, and he could be a kingmaker and a real difference maker. And if you are somebody that's staring down the barrel of what the hell do I do if we have to face the Patriots and we have to face Antonio Brown and Josh Gordon, If you want a chance to beat them in the playoffs, you best damn sure go get Jalen Ramsey. Period.